Big changes across the Arctic this week as some really cold air starts to get tapped into and it starts to dig south into parts of the central and eastern U.S. That means while most of the week we'll see above average temperatures, at least for a good part of the country, the cold air and below normal temperatures are on the way as we head toward the weekend. And with the cold comes the chances for snow. We'll look at that. This is a look at the European ensemble guidance, more than 50 members being averaged out, and this is showing the potential for seeing more than 1 inch of snow. It's kind of low, I get it, but the fact that it's showing up is really still kind of impressive. I'm going to back things up so you can kind of time some of this out. We've got a couple of systems we're going to show you in just a second as we track them as they move out of parts of Canada, bringing a swath of snow through the prairies, at least the chance of it. And then another system, it's a lower chance, I think, here in the parts of the upper Midwest and the Great Lakes, but maybe some snow. And then it's looking more likely here into the mountains, especially here into the Northeast. Either way, some cold weather on the way. It's not going to last, though. Once we get rid of this cold air, we're going to see this erode pretty quickly, so don't get used to it. But I think there will be another big flip as we head into December. And it's going to get stormy across the west as the pattern starts to shift up. Here's a bigger picture look at North America. We've got a pretty decent low. This has been consistent for the last couple of weeks and months across the Gulf of Alaska, but what we're seeing now, this storm track is much further to the south as this cold Arctic air starts to build across the high latitudes. Across the lower 48, high pressure keeping the southeast dry. We've got a few showers into the northeast and one heck of a low pressure starting to wrap up and dig. And it's going to bring some heavy wind, heavy snow too possible for parts of Newfoundland. Take a look at this, guys. This is a really impressive storm. It's going to impact Nova Scotia. Back here's Maine. Strong winds, heavy snow, a 945 millibar low just cranking the wind across this part of Canada over the next couple of days. Otherwise, just cold and relatively dry across the rest of Canada. The lower 48, relatively warm as we're dealing with some ridging here. That's going to persist through the week. Here, my friends, is where things change. And if you look at this map, I want you to notice high pressure starting to slide down from the North Pole. It's going to go across some open water here, so it's going to modify, so it won't be as cold as maybe what you would see in January, but follow these isobars. Look at that. That is a direct connection from the North Pole, and that's one of the reasons it's going to get cold as we head into the late part of the week, into the weekend, across parts of Canada, eventually the Great Lakes, the upper Midwest, and a good part of, I think, from this line east as we head into the weekend. We start off with this kicker system that moves through. It's going to bring some rain and some snow north of Toronto, but maybe here into parts of southeast Canada and into the northeast, Vermont, New Hampshire, upstate New York, into Maine, some snow possible with this. And we're also watching another storm that's going to move into the west. That's going to bring some rain and snow into the mountains, but this one's going to slide to just to the east of the mountains. It's not really a clipper type system, but it is going to ride right along our boundary of warm and cold air, and it's going to bring a swath of light snow, I think, across parts of Saskatchewan, Manitoba. Further to the south into the U.S., it'll bring some chillier air with some rain to snow across parts of Minnesota. It's not going to be a big snow event here, but either way, colder weather digging south, and then here comes the front moving to the east as we head into the weekend. This is where things start to get a little bit different. Two pictures being painted by the GFS and the European. I'm going to show you the GFS. The European we'll dive in much closer in just a second. Across the southwest as we head into the weekend, some relatively warm weather across this part of the country, and then another storm wrapping up across the eastern Pacific, bringing more rain, wind, and snow into this area, especially British Columbia. But look at this trough digging into the east, cold weather, snow on the backside of low pressure that's trying to show up here on the GFS. It's been doing that persistently, and then the lake effect snow machine is on. A very amplified setup here across the country. That is some true Arctic air. It may be the coldest we've seen. No, it's going to be. It will be the coldest air we've seen so far this fall. Let's start off across the west. This is where our first piece of energy is moving in, bringing some rain and snow here. The heavy wind and rain holds off until Tuesday at least. We'll start to feel that pick up as we move through the day, and then into Tuesday night. Rain and snow increasing across Northern California, especially into the highest elevation, some heavy snow possible, and then more snow across parts of the Cascades, into the Northern Rockies, into the Canadian Rockies. And this unsettled pattern sticks around through the week. Let's move east. We've got some showers as we move through today, moving through the Great Lakes, and it's going to continue to push out. Otherwise, relatively dry across a good part of the central U.S. A little more clouds here across Iowa, into Illinois, Indiana, maybe a few sprinkles. And then we're also watching this system slide across the Dakotas into Minnesota as we head into Tuesday. That could bring a few rain showers and pretty chilly up here. High pressure settling in, though, as we move through the week across the Mississippi River first, and then it moves east further into the Mid-South. On the backside of this, warm conditions as that southwest flow starts to pick up by Thursday, and then rain chances going up too as the moisture increases. So showers break out, and then that moves off to the east. Now we start to change things up as we head into the weekend, right? Here comes that system sliding along, our area of low pressure developing. It's not going to be a super strong low, but it's going to develop right along that boundary of cold air, and then rain to snow on the backside of this. Temperatures on the way down. We'll look at those in just a second, but clearly there comes the winds. It's going to get breezy, blustery. You're going to have a wind chill too. I mean, it doesn't matter if it's in the 40s and 30s. You get a 20-mile-an-hour wind, it's going to feel colder for sure. And this air originates, again, way up in the Arctic, so it's going to be dry and cool. Once we head into next week, though, things do start to change. And I want to show you this. We're going to stick here into parts of the central U.S. because this is the European from today. Yesterday, it was showing this massive Colorado low lifting out, this lee side low that develops here, and it just wraps up and moves north and east. The NAO, the North Atlantic Oscillation, is in a very favorable position, I think, as we head into next week. I always love to hear in your comments below, do you want to know why it's going to rain or snow, or do you just want to know if it's going to rain or snow? Sometimes I dig into the details here on the channel and get a little bit too much into it. Some of you think maybe not enough. So let me know what you think. I want to back up because I want to show you the GFS, what it's doing today. It says, yeah, we're going to get a deepening lee side low, and that's going to be one heck of a storm that moves southwest to northeast towards Canada. This could be a really impactful winter storm. I'm still in this camp because I think once you flip your trough out of the east, you're going to loosen that blocking up here in the North Atlantic, and you open the door for storms to form in this region. It's what I think. At this point, more to come on this. Today, relatively mild compared to where we're going. Another warmer day tomorrow as we head into Tuesday. We'll be back up into the 70s in many areas, but I'll let this roll out pretty quickly because here comes the colder air. You'll start to feel it by Thursday, and especially as we head into Friday and Saturday. Much chillier weather on the way, and it will start to move in across the north with temperatures dropping into the teens at night, maybe even single digits across North Dakota. And then that cold air drops to the south. Highs on next Tuesday could be in the upper 30s across Tennessee. Much colder, clearly, across the east. Let's go here next. We will compare the European and the GFS as we get into the storm heading into the weekend into next week. But here's where we are right now. Low pressure moving away from the Carolinas, drying out. Some showers across the northeast. It's going to be cool, damp, and rainy and kind of gross across the northeast through Tuesday with showers. Snow flying into the highest elevations, and then that wraps up. High pressure settles into the southeast. The flow around that high turns southwesterly. Temperatures warm up. Cleveland, Pittsburgh. We're going to see our numbers rise back up. Even further to the west, temperatures on the way up as well. Once we head toward Wednesday and Thursday, another area of low pressure moves in. Behind this, it's starting to pull a little bit of colder air in. In fact, the upper level patterns really is what's driving this surface low pressure deepening as that upper trough starts to steepen. So the snow level is a little bit lower here into the northeast, into parts of New York. So maybe some accumulating snow heading into Thursday and Friday. Once we get into the weekend, things start to change. First, it's going to get relatively warm out ahead of this. So expect a warm day on Friday. Temperatures way above average. The front goes through and we see a bit of a cool down, and then things hold on until the next stronger front. So that cooling pattern comes in two waves. And it looks like the second one really starts to be felt heading into the weekend. This is the overnight run of the European. It shows really not much of a low developing along the coast. It's been doing that. It's been consistent there. One thing, look at the lake effect snow machine that gets turned on behind it. The clearly unfrozen and warm lakes will create some instability, I think, especially right along the lakes because that water is so warm. You'll likely see rain showers, but get away from the lake a little bit where it's colder. That snow is going to continue even into the upslope areas here into the central and southern Appalachians. We'll see some snow accumulate. Heading into next week, that cold pocket of air starts to move away. Southwest flow starts to develop again as high pressure sets up over the southeast. And then our temperatures flip-flop. We warm back up. Another system may bring some snow late next week, but otherwise, temperatures here toward the middle of the month, in my opinion, haven't changed. We're going to warm back up again. And then I think we have a big cool down coming in December again. as this roller coaster ride continues before we start to turn really cold. This is a look at the GFS. I want to show you how it's developing the storm into the weekend. Again, it's pretty cold too. It's trying to put some snow back here across Iowa. Dare I say Chicago? I'm not a buyer yet on the GFS, especially the 6Z run, which is what we're looking at. It's trying to show still that snow here for the interior areas of the Northeast. That's the big difference, I think, between the European. Both models have it turning cold.